From NBA legend to scandal-ridden father, the untold story of Karl Malone. How the mailman delivered on the court but failed off it.
I am no different. Matter of fact, my flaws is probably 20 times worse than other people.
Those words feel different once you know the full story. Karl Malone is one of the greatest basketball players ever, a two-time MVP and a Hall of Famer. But despite his success, he couldn't outrun his personal struggles, and they eventually overshadowed everything he achieved. This is the story of how a basketball legend became one of the most controversial figures in sports. Few stories in professional sports are as painful as Karl Malone's fall from beloved star to widely criticized figure. He was born on July 24, 1963, in Summerfield, Louisiana. It was a tiny, poor community with fewer than 200 people in the 1960s, a place where opportunities were rare and escaping poverty felt almost impossible. Growing up there was hard, especially for young black men, who often faced limited choices and harsh realities. Karl's life was difficult from the start. His father, Shedrick Hay, left the family when Karl was still young, creating a deep emotional wound that never truly healed.
Malone grew up in Summerfield, Louisiana. When he was a young boy, his father died from suicide, and his mother had to raise him and his other siblings on her own.
This painful loss shaped Karl's view of the world in both positive and harmful ways. When Karl was just 14 years old, his family faced another tragedy. His father died by suicide. Malone kept this part of his life private until he finally spoke about it in a 1994 Sports Illustrated interview. The shame and pain from that loss stayed with him for the rest of his life. It pushed him to work harder and succeed, but it also left him with a constant need to prove himself. With his father gone, Karl's mother became everything to him. She was his parent, his protector, and his role model all in one. She was an incredibly strong woman who worked several exhausting jobs just to keep the family going. Shirley Malone picked cotton, cleaned houses, and worked at a sawmill to support her large family. But she gave Karl more than food or shelter. She gave him something far more important. She believed in him completely and never doubted his potential.
My mom is the only person in my life that every dream I had as a little boy, not my siblings, not my friends, not my teachers, anything that other people would laugh and think outlandish, she would always say, "I know you will."
That belief became the foundation of Karl's success, but it also played a role in his downfall. It gave him the feeling that he was different, that the rules everyone else had to follow didn't apply to him. His mother's love was real and unconditional, but it may have unintentionally planted a sense of entitlement that later damaged his reputation. As a child, Karl didn't dream of becoming a basketball star. His ambitions reached far beyond the cotton fields of Louisiana, toward a life much bigger than the one he was born into.
People don't realize this. I didn't want to be an athlete. I was a little run of the family, and I got bullied when I was a little boy. As I got to the 9th grade, the only branch of the military who flew the Harrier jets was the Marines. And that was the jet that hovered, went out, came back, landed, they covered it up. And I wanted to fly a Harrier jet.
Everything changed when basketball caught Karl's attention. That's when he found what he was meant to do. The change was striking. He went from a bullied kid who dreamed about flying fighter jets to a tall, powerful young man with incredible athletic ability. And when he finally committed to basketball, he attacked it with the same focus, discipline, and intensity his mother had taught him growing up.
And I started playing basketball. And I said, "Mom, I want to be one of the best. But if I'm not the best, no one would ever outwork me."
The work ethic that defined Karl Malone's career came from his grandfather. His grandfather's words stayed with him and eventually became the guiding philosophy of his life.
My grandfather always told me, "Don't let any man outwork you. And if you got two men with the same mentality, it's going to make for a great show."
This mindset carried Karl through high school at Summerfield High, where he dominated like no one before him. By his sophomore year, he was already a 6 feet 9 inches power forward with rare quickness and skill. He led the Summerfield Rebels to 3 straight Louisiana Class C state championships. His senior season became legendary. Karl averaged more than 30 points and 20 rebounds per game and was compared to Louisiana great Willis Reed. But his rise nearly fell apart because of academic struggles. He didn't initially meet NCAA eligibility requirements due to low grades, the result of underfunded schools and a family focused on survival, not education. Only with help from coaches and community members who believed in him did Karl graduate and earn a scholarship to Louisiana Tech University. College brought his first real test. Because of NCAA Proposition 48, he was ruled academically ineligible and had to sit out his freshman season. It was a major setback, but instead of breaking him, it strengthened his resolve. When Karl finally played as a sophomore, he was dominant. Over 3 seasons at Louisiana Tech, he averaged 16.8 points, 8.8 rebounds, and 1.4 steals per game. He won Southland Conference Player of the Year twice, in 1983 and 1985. His mix of strength and athleticism caught the attention of NBA scouts nationwide. But during this time, early signs of deeper personal issues began to surface, issues that would later overshadow everything he built. In the 1985 NBA draft, Karl Malone was selected 13th overall by the Utah Jazz. 12 teams passed on him, a snub that fueled his competitive fire for years. Utah saw him as the foundation of their franchise, and his relentless work ethic fit perfectly with the team's blue-collar identity. His rookie season proved them right. He averaged nearly 15 points and 9 rebounds per game. That same season, Karl earned the nickname that would define his career, the Mailman, coined by broadcaster Peter Gammons. The name reflected his consistency. He always delivered. The nickname stuck, symbolizing not just his scoring, but his durability and reliability. For Malone, showing up every night and doing his job wasn't optional. It was a matter of pride and duty.
And answering the bell every night. I did.
By his second NBA season, Karl Malone's transformation was complete. His scoring jumped to over 20 points per game, and his partnership with point guard John Stockton began to show the chemistry that would eventually change the way basketball was played. The Stockton-Malone pick-and-roll became one of the most unstoppable plays in NBA history. At this point, Karl seemed to be living the American dream. From the poverty of rural Louisiana to the bright lights of professional basketball, from academic struggles to rookie success, his story appeared to be the perfect example of what hard work and determination could achieve. But beneath this inspiring rise, darker currents were already taking shape, forces that would eventually overshadow everything he had built. While Malone was building a reputation as one of the NBA's most reliable and hardworking players, a series of personal scandals were quietly unfolding, scandals that would later define his legacy more than any on-court achievement. The most serious of these began in 1983, when Malone was a 20-year-old college student at Louisiana Tech. During the off-season, he engaged in a sexual relationship with Gloria Bell, a 13-year-old neighbor. This was not a relationship between peers. It was statutory rape, a felony punishable by up to 7 years in prison under Louisiana law. The fact that it happened in his hometown, with a girl he had known since childhood, made it even more disturbing. Gloria Bell gave birth to Demetrius Bell on May 3, 1984, when she was just 14. While Malone pursued his basketball dreams and prepared for NBA stardom, a teenage girl was left to raise his child in poverty, abandoned by the man whose actions had destroyed her childhood. The Bell family, aware of Malone's promising future and their own economic hardships, chose not to pursue criminal charges, a decision that would be criticized for decades as allowing Malone to escape justice. Today, discussions of this scandal highlight the full scope of what Malone did and the consequences he avoided.
Karl Malone was 20 years old, impregnated a 13-year-old, got the fuck away from her, wanted nothing to do with the baby. The story's about, well, you know he was about to be a pro athlete, so take from that what you want.
When the Bell family filed a paternity suit in 1985, Malone denied everything. He refused to acknowledge he was the father and ignored court summons for years. It wasn't until 1988, when a judge ordered a DNA test, that his paternity was confirmed with 99.9% certainty. Even after being confronted with undeniable scientific proof, Malone resisted paying the modest child support. He argued that $125 per week was too much, despite earning hundreds of thousands of dollars as an NBA player. The most devastating part of this scandal was the impact on Demetrius Bell, who grew up without any contact from his father. In a 2008 ESPN interview, Demetrius explained the emotional toll. "I treat it as if my mother went to the sperm bank. I don't know him." When Demetrius finally reached out to Malone at age 17, hoping to build a relationship, Malone's response was cold and dismissive, leaving lasting emotional scars on his son.
Meets the kid 17 years later, 17 years old, says, "Listen, dog, it's too late for me to it's too late for me to be a dad to you. You got to go get it out the mud, get it on your own."
The cruelty of Malone's rejection was staggering. Here was a man earning millions, telling his own son, a child hurt by his actions, that he would have to fend for himself. His complete lack of empathy, remorse, or basic decency revealed the side of Malone that lay hidden beneath his public image.